Hello and welcome back. We're going to continue with the ancient short sword. Shouldn't have moved my mouse there at all. I can't talk without moving things on the screen, which is just irritating. Yeah, so in the last video we were doing the retopo. Let's hide all that. And if you didn't catch like the very end of the video, like after I said goodbye, we did come back in and just kind of change up this area here. We did a few other little tweaks, and I also added in the trigger that I forgot. So yeah, if you missed that because you thought the video was over, then that's my bad. I need to get better at life. But yeah, so let's just carry on. So this one's going to be just the unwrap basically, and to make our lives as simple as possible, we'll kind of just treat this object per object. So the grip is going to be very simple. So let's go to mark seams. Maybe we'll put seam there because I think that's where the trigger would be. So it's a good place to have that. We don't need to. In fact, we can't really do mirroring of the UVs on this object because of the like that twisted texture pattern that we got happening. Yeah. So that's the grip done. Good job. Well done, everyone. So yeah, the bolt. We can use symmetry for this, so I'm just going to chop it down there, and then maybe to get the flattest shape possible, you do kind of want everything to be separated, but then you might as well join it on one part, but that, oh no, there we go. So yeah, something as simple as that. But while we're doing this, we might as well actually just make sure that we are using symmetry here. So go to the bolt. It should be in local space. The y-axis. Is this the one that didn't work? Oh, great. I picked the only object where the local symmetry for some reason is just really wigging out. Well, that's cool. We can just disable symmetry and we'll just do this. So it should be, in fact, wait a minute, oh no, yeah, so that's two pieces. So that should, yeah, that's the same. Okay, so we're done. We'll basically just copy and paste it over, like one side to the other after we do the unwrap, so we can leave it at that for now. The hilt, or, you know, what I called the hilt, just ignore my layer names. Yeah, symmetry's fine for this as well, so we can just slice those up and then see, get those. For now I'm going to separate like all the pieces, but then I'll just holding control probably just join one of them up, and I don't think we can do the same with this because yeah, it'll go inside, so we might as well just leave that on its own. Should be fine. And then for this guy, I mean, he's already going to be symmetriculed. So separate. Maybe we just keep those bits. I have mentioned in a previous video, like for these kind of shapes, I like to kind of keep some bits attached, just so it makes for like an easier unwrap. And again, I am pointing at my screen. Well done, me. Yeah, because if we were to just do that, we are going to get like the best result. Like it will be kind of flat. But personally, I am willing to lose a tiny bit of pixel accuracy if it means that my shapes kind of stay with each other. The only time that I don't allow that is if I lose too much in the unwrap. So that's my rule, at least. You can have a totally different rule if you want. That's fine. So yeah, this one definitely just straight down the middle because oh, that's interesting. This didn't work, so it looks like we need to mirror this. So maybe go back to points and faces. Let's just see if this is the right side. That was the wrong side, so turn off that. Yeah, okay. It's always worrying when you see that because you wonder if it's happened somewhere else, but you just haven't noticed. But, oh well. So yeah, carry on with this. Mark seams. Don't know why the symmetry window's open. So it looks like actually it's still kind of joined somewhere, which is weird. So it's over here. Does that mean there's a problem with our mesh? Let's move some stuff. That seems fine. Okay, pretty bizarre. Not sure why it kind of just dropped those. Seems to have done it here as well. Yeah, so if you get stuff like this, it's worth kind of just grabbing your points, your verts, and just making sure things are attached, because oftentimes if it's not creating a seam all the way across, it's because something isn't welded. But for this, it seems everything is welded, and so I have no idea why it's doing that. But yeah, anyway, there we go. So yeah, I mean, to be honest, even as it is now, there's kind of no problem with it. But if you wanted to kind of relieve a little bit of tension in some areas, you can come down to like these curves. You don't want to do it on one of these, because that will basically collapse inward. So if I were to do like that, I can't show you the UV preview with the mouse because then it loses the view, but you can see that that polygon there is actually kind of, it's intersecting with the other one. Well, not intersecting, overlapping. So yeah, that's the wrong way to relieve that kind of pressure or tension. There's a good one, you can do that. But yeah, for the most part, I will just give those two a little tweak. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of fine, and having it all as one will certainly make texturing a bit easier. Yep, so that's cool, happy with that. So next up are our bloops, and these are basically already unwrapped, so yeah, we don't need to do anything special with these. Maybe, again, if you wanted to kind of just relieve some tension points, but yeah, there's not much of a change. I guess if we wanted, we could maybe separate that piece. But I'm neither here nor there on that, you know. It's fine if you do, it's fine if you don't. I won't, but you don't have to follow my lead. And that, honestly, is fine. So let's move on. And the blade, this is another one that basically just unwraps itself. The only thing we will do with this, actually, is select all the faces. And we're going to put this into its own UV layer, or UV sheet, or whatever you want to call it, its own channel. Channel's the right word. That's what I should have been looking for. So we'll add a new UV set and we'll call it blade. And then, because we've already got the faces selected, we'll move this over to blade. And the reason I'm doing this is because for this sword we're going to do some shader magic with the blade, because it kind of just pops out like a lightsaber. And so that's going to be on like a separate material from the actual main body of the blade. I mean, you could in theory just like duplicate, like if you were doing it all as one material, like the blade and the body, you could just duplicate that material and then apply, you know, the special shader to it and only use that material on the blade. But then you basically, you just wasted like so much texture space. Sean Connery just arrived. Texture space on the main body, because you had to account for this blade being in there when you don't need it. So it does mean that we're basically doubling up our draw calls, you know, 2 materials, 1 object. Not ideal, but not the end of the world either, so, you know, no biggie. So yeah, that's done because it didn't need anything. The flipper, we need to move back to, we're already in default actually, so that's fine. So mark seams. Yeah, we definitely do want to use symmetry for this stuff as well, because there's that weird stuff going on. And these are going to be some big pressure points here, oops, and here. Maybe we put one up there. It looks like the unwrap is kind of going a bit weird. I don't know why it would do that. Maybe it'll fix itself if we just... Nope, guess not. Brilliant. Okay, maybe we need to... Don't want to do that one. Okay, that's kind of annoying. It's not unwrapping the way that I'd have expected it to, because if you see, it's this top one, isn't it? That's very much kind of overlapping. The way to fix it would be that, but then we're going to get some overlap here. So, pretty lame. So, I mean, I'll leave it like that. Oh, so I'll hit Control and undo that seam. I'll leave it like that for now, and we'll come back to this guy later on. And we'll try some different unwrapping algorithms to see if maybe that'll do it. If not, we'll probably just have to get a little insane with it. So flip it to... oh, by the way, just hit Shift A just to focus the view on whatever's kind of in the scene. So yeah, enable symmetry, slice it down there. So this is more correct, you know, that if you see the unwrap, things aren't collapsing in on themselves. I mean, I say that maybe now if I start just putting in some seams, it'll go crazy, but it seems to be doing what I would expect it to do, whereas the other one is not. So yeah, that's fine. Basically just releasing those pressure points. And pressure points, by the way, is just something I've made up. I don't know if that's how we refer to it in the industry. Also, what is up with this? Okay, that could definitely use a little bit of let's enable this. Points and faces. I'm just going to give this some welds. Okay, I know why I did it, but still didn't need to. Oh man, I must have been tired when I was doing this. Sorry, I know this isn't the retopo part of the video, but got some triangles to save on. Ah, no, wait, because the body... Yeah, so we can't... Okay, yeah, so I was wrong about those two. But I was right about everything else, so that's fine. Oh, and that actually is a bit of a problem, because we're going to be able to see through there. Okay, so not a problem. In the effort of trying to save polys, I'm actually now going to just add one in. So, bits... Points and faces is not playing ball with me right now, so let's go with quads. Alright, that should be it. And now, because we actually have a face there, we can do this. So, swings and roundabouts, I guess. Although, yeah, probably can't do that, so, oh well. Oh, but we can do this. Alright, okay, so yeah, back to the actual unwrap. Almost forgot what the word was there. Yeah, so we're not using symmetry on these, so let's just, again, although, I mean, we could, if we really wanted to, actually. Although they're so small, like, they're going to take up just the tiniest amount of UV space, but we could copy, like, this face over to that face, but this one, you know, I don't want to introduce geometry split down the middle just for the sake of saving that minuscule amount of texture space. So as it is for now, that's okay. Although, why do I have a face underneath? Sorry, I just keep realizing that things have been done a little bad. So that one and flip of one. I mean, it does come out a bit. So I might as well just keep that last one, but I'll get rid of that. And yeah, back to mark seams. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, you can expect this stuff to happen. Like, as you're unwrapping, I mean, you're essentially going over your mesh again, so it's very easy to kind of identify areas that have gone a bit weird. But yeah, so this guy, quite an annoying shape, but let's just do some stuff. Yeah, I'm okay with that. The only thing I'm not okay with is this one piece being on its own, so I'll attach that, and maybe even we could do that. It's a little bit weird, but if we wanted, we could... no, wait, so let's just get that as well. So all of this purple area is kind of just one long UV sheet, UV island, and these two are separated because we will be able to copy and paste those across. Again, there's no point, it's so small, but if we can, why not? Yeah, and so then this guy, could probably just do that, to be honest. Don't need to do anything, or maybe even just, that'll be better. Yeah, so that's the bits, done dilly dunded. The wire, I mean, this is going to be over immediately, finished. The thing that we called something, again, over. I am making sure to put the seam on like the top, because that's the bit that kind of faces away. And then lastly, trigger, and we'll put the seam again sort of along like the most top-ish line. And I mean, I think that that's everything except for the flipper one that I said we would have a look at, but yeah. So if we unwrap now, we get all of our nice stuff, and you notice that the blade is not included because the blade is not in the default UV channel. So yeah, so the body definitely kind of got the brunt of my laziness. There are some squishy areas compared to others that are pretty flawless, but that is definitely a passable amount, so I am okay with that. The flippers definitely have done something strange. So you can see here, like there's that crossover. Give myself a little bit more space, mayhap. Yeah, this face is kind of, it's just, I don't know what it's doing. So with that selected, I don't know which of these would be the best, but we'll just see something that, okay, so ABF was a big no-no. GU seems to be the same, maybe that's the default. LCM looks, LSCM, sorry, looks like, oopsie, winner chicken dinner. We'll just do planar just to kind of see what. Okay, fair enough. Either way, planar's a big fat no, so I'll just undo that. Yeah, that's cool. And what you can just do is, if I copy the bad one and then I paste it onto the good one, it will actually just it will have the same UVs as it, so that's all good. Yeah, I mean, we're pretty much there now. We could, if you wanted to, go to like each layer with the body or something, making sure that you have symmetry on, and then just hitting the symmetry copy button. But I suspect that that was actually causing some issues before. Like you see here again, it's just for some bizarre reason moved the seam, and if you can see the UV preview, it still thinks it's one object. So I'll Control Z on that, and we'll just do it the old-fashioned way. So we'll just copy one, paste it into the other, and that, yeah, that's fine, it's retained the seams. So yeah, it still seems like there's a bit of a glitch with that symmetry copy. I think even in like my first ever 3D coat video, that weird thing existed, but there are workarounds, so I'm not on the forums screaming for it to get fixed or anything. But yeah, this is basically do the rest, copy paste. If you see a shape that looks like another shape, then Control C, Control V. Okay, so yeah, I think that was all of it, although I am prone to missing a lot of this stuff. But you can see already, like, the amount of texture space that we've just saved is pretty decent. So now we'll go to, I think it's Pack UV. It will still do rotations and whatnot, which is fine. If you have something aligned, like in a certain way, like if I were to just grab, let's say, the body, and the reason I'm using that rectangular marquee to make the selection there is that there's two things here. So if I was just using the regular brush to pick, then I'd only be removing one. So yeah, that's why I'm using the marquee there. Yeah, if you wanted things to be a specific way, like if you needed like that to always be upright, then you'd use the Pack UV2, and it will basically keep the orientation of everything, but we don't need to do that. Yeah, and the reason that you might want to do that as opposed to it kind of deciding on the rotation for you is for those times, granted it doesn't really happen too much nowadays, but for the times where you are actually painting your textures within Photoshop or something, if you have certain elements like pipes and things like aligned in a sort of straight and upright way, or horizontal. It just makes texturing it a lot easier rather than having to deal with like wonky things and whatnot. But I mean, 3D Coat is generally pretty good. If it like identifies a shape as being straight, it will straighten it out. I don't know if it's like an algorithm that tries to get like the longest edge and then so it has it faced that way or something. I don't know. That'd be pretty good though. But yeah, rambling on a bit. This is done. So the only thing left to do now is to bake. So let's just bring it back, all of these. I'm just giving everything a little once over. And I'm sorry if you can hear the rain. I live in England, so that happens a lot. If you've seen my character 3D Coat tutorial where I was doing the unwraps and the bake for that shark dude, I had a good reason for basically baking out like each individual piece. For this one, I don't think we need to do that. Like the mesh is simple enough. Nothing is really poking in or out too much. So I feel like we could just get away with using global values. By which I mean I'll just do it. So if we go to bake and then bake with normal map per pixel. Wait a minute before we do that. I have this name correspondence for baking turned on. That's why everything in my retopo objects layer matches the names of whatever is in the Vox tree. I think I mentioned that at the beginning, or maybe I just said that I would talk about it later. But basically what that will do is if we were to do a bake now, in fact I might need to separate the wire out, but yeah, doesn't matter. So yeah, we'll just get these roughly lined up, inside, outside. So when you do something like this with many sort of objects, you don't really want stuff like the low poly geometry clipping through into another. So if you can see here, like the trigger one is going like right into this area and so on and so forth. But because we have that name correspondence turned on, it will actually just treat each one as though it is on its own. The only reason with the shark dude that I was doing the individual bakes per object is because he needed much like varying degrees of like inside and outside depth depending on the object, whereas my point with this one is, didn't want to move that one, my point on this one is we can probably just use a global value and it should be fine. So let's just actually test that, and I'm not going to bake local occlusion, never do, never will. And okay, it's asking us, oh, it's actually asking us for both. That's interesting. I thought it would only do one and then we deal with the blade later, so I'll cancel that because we do need to do some wizardry to the blade that I was waiting for later. So we need to change our channel over to blade, and so you'll see as we scroll through here there's nothing because the blade hasn't been unwrapped. So let's just do mark seams, which will open up all the other unwrapping commands, and then we'll just hit the unwrap button. And now we have this, and I suppose it doesn't matter actually. It could be horizontal, it could be vertical. I'll keep it, I think I'll keep mine horizontal. But yeah, so the tricky bit now is there is like a ton of wasted space here, and you can bake textures at sort of like half width normal height. I've explained that just the worst way possible. I mean, so rather than like a 512 by 512, you can have, let's say, a 256 by 512 or a 1024 by 512. That's completely fine, especially when it comes like if you're doing texture packing and whatnot, which is pretty common. The one thing you do want to definitely avoid is weird numbers. Like if you're using like a 513 by a 513, then basically what that will do is it will use as much memory or whatever it is textures use as a 1024 because it's moved into that next bracket. So, you know, on the whole, like, you know, should you use power of 2 textures? Yes, 100%. But they don't have to be the same power of 2. You can use like a 256 by a 512. But yeah, so the problem that we're going to have is we need to basically increase the scale of this blade by 200%. Or no, wait, 100%. We need to we need to increase it by twice than what it is on one axis only, because we're going to bake it out at half. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to try and measure this a bit. And what I kind of like to do, like, because there's no option to see any numbers or anything here when we're scaling stuff. So I'll use the UV settings, and so it's one of these that we want to adjust. So if I bring this down to like here or something, I know roughly that this blade is like maybe 260, although it's also on the other side as well, so maybe it is just like a straight 250. So I know that I need it to stretch to about 500 or so. So I'll put that line there, and I kind of just have to look at it, and in fact it's actually a lot easier in that now, because I kind of know that it has to be the halfway point. But either way, so you hit cancel on that, but remember, like, by eye where twice that amount of space is, and then you kind of just have to guess, unfortunately. Then we'll go to UV settings again, so we'll bring this down to 500. So it seems like I have overstretched it just a teensy weensy bit. And again, this is not going to be like pixel perfect or anything. But yeah, so we're going to bake that out, and so we'll put it just in the middle, or close enough. So if we go to bake with normal per pixel, let's cancel that again. Actually, let's go back to the default, just because I'm a bit worried that it has actually forgotten my bake settings. It shouldn't do. In fact, no, I think we're okay. We're probably going to get some weird stuff happening here. Maybe we'll have to bake this one out on its own, but everything else kind of seems pretty hunky-dory. The blade might be an issue, might not be. We'll see. So yeah, so now I'll hit OK. Don't bake local occlusion. And for the main base of the sword, I'll keep it at 2K. The blade we will change to, let's say, 512 by 1024. Should be fine, I think, probably, hopefully. Let's see. Did I do that the wrong way around? I think I did. I did that the wrong way around. Alright, let's go back. So, layers... Oh, actually, it's easier. I say easier, we have a ton of objects here. So let's just get rid of everything. So yeah, layers. So now that we don't have any paint objects in here, we can just hit the key to remove all the unused layers. So that will bring it back to just layer 0. So yeah, let's bake that out again, but this time make sure we're using the correct dimensions. I'm sorry if anyone saw that I was doing that wrong and was screaming at the monitor. It happens. So yeah, 2048, because we have it going the other way, so yeah, so this is going to be 124 and this one's going to be 512. So just bake that off again. And then paint room, hide the vox tree, and then let's have a look at the blade. Okay, yeah, so that's what's actually happened here. It's come out like that. And the shape of this, it's okay. It's okay. You know, it's probably, again, like, not pixel perfect, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And I thought like this wire area here would cause us some grief, but it seems pretty cool. So the only other thing that I think is kind of worth doing right now, the blade, it's not sat in the center, which is fine. We can definitely move it in Unity or wherever else you might sort of do stuff. In fact, you know, at this point, because we have so many objects, it could be worth throwing it into Blender or 3ds Max and just merging some stuff down. We only need the flipper bits and the blade, and maybe no, the trigger's too nitpicky. I mean, because the hand will cover that. Yeah, so only these flippy outy bits and the blade, they're the only things that need to actually be a separate object. Everything else can just be one. I know how to do that, like, because obviously in the retopper room you can merge all these layers, but then they're not going to correspond like with the names of the other ones. You can start off by just creating, like if I'd have created a blank sculpt layer called handle, and then put all of like the grip and the bolt and the hilt inside of it, then I could have one retopper layer called handle, and that I believe will work. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's one way you can do it. I don't know how to merge objects once you've already done the bake, because I mean this is too many objects. But so yeah, I don't know how to do that. Maybe someone else out there does. But what I am going to do is in the tweak room, just with the select and transform tool, we can say select with brush or rectangle, or just actually no, yeah, we want to select object. So now any object that we select, we can choose to move it. And again, I don't think we can move it because, you know, there's no coordinates or anything here, so I don't know that we can do things super accurately. But if we come into an orthographic view, maybe we can just get it close enough, something like that. So yeah, that should be fine. When you go back into, let's say, the paint room, and then do the box tree, let's just hit W. So now it has actually been put in the center. But yeah, that is everything done. We'll be doing the texturing next, and just to kind of get ready for that, I will just calculate the occlusion real quick. But yeah, no, that is about it. It seems like the last sort of 20 minutes of this video was spent doing kind of redundant stuff, but hopefully it's all helpful and handy. We'll be back in the next part, just to give this thing like a quick kind of texture. I'm not going to be doing the like the Zelda shader stuff, I mean, because it's just cell shaded, which I mean I'm sure they're doing their own special thing, but I'm not a huge fan of it, so I will be treating this as a PBR object. So, you know, we'll be taking advantage of metalness and gloss and whatnot. But yeah, that's all for the next video. So thank you very much for watching, and yeah, I will see you in the next one.